Hey guys, welcome back to my class. It's your favorite teacher, Miss Harrison. So, for those who are joining for the first time, my name is KAYIE'S Harrison. I am a teacher in Florida and I've been teaching for the past 14 years. Now, today we're going to do a follow-up lesson on indefinite pronouns. Last time we spoke about indefinite pronouns that are always singular and indefinite pronouns that are always plural. Remember, indefinite pronouns do not refer to a specific amount or a specific person or thing. So today we're only looking at indefinite pronouns that can sometimes be singular or sometimes be plural. Remember, singular means one. Plural means more than one or two or more. So singular is one, plural is more than one. So it depends on how these words are used in the sentence. It depends on the phrase that comes before the indefinite pronoun or the phrase that comes after the indefinite pronoun. So we are going to look at different sentences. We're going to identify the phrase that is going to help us to figure out if we should use plural or if we should use singular. Again, we will be using the words is, are, was, were, do, does. And remember, is singular, are plural. Was singular, were plural. Do plural, does singular. So we have to remember those at all times. Let's jump into it. So number one, some of the books is or are new. You know what? I did not talk about the indefinite pronouns we're looking at. So let's go back. The indefinite pronouns that can either be singular or plural are most, all, any, none, or some. Let's go again. Most, all, any, none, or some. Those are indefinite pronouns that can either be singular or plural depending on the phrase that follows them or the phrase that comes before them. So let's go back to number one. Some of the books is are new. Now pay attention to the indefinite pronoun first of all. So here we have some, and up here it tells us that some is one of the indefinite pronouns. So I am underlining that. Now remember, some can be plural, it can be singular. So in this case, what are they talking about? Some of the books. If we say books, do we mean one or do we mean more than one? Of course, we mean more than one. Therefore, because we're talking about more than one books, some is going to take a plural verb. Now, is singular, are is plural, so our answer is are. So the sentence should read, some of the books are new. Let's try this. Some of the books is new. I'm sure it doesn't make sense. So think about the phrase. They're talking about some of the books. More than one books are new. Let's move to number two. All of the food was or were spoiled. Our indefinite pronoun is all. Now all of the what? Food. So we're talking about food was or were spoiled. Now, food is singular. So we're referring to all as our indefinite pronoun and food, which is singular. So it means that our verb must also be singular. So all of the food was spoiled. Was spoiled. So even though it says all, that sounds like plural, we're talking about food that is referring to the singular form. So was is correct. Most of the movies do or does not make sense. Again, or indefinite pronoun is most. Most. Now, what is the phrase that we're looking at? Most of the movies. When you hear movies, do you think about one or do you think about more than one? Of course you think about more than one. What would we say if we're talking about one? We would say movie. Good job. So we're talking about more than one, so we have that S at the end, movies. So if it is more than one, then we're thinking plural. Good job. So is it do or is it does? Remember, does is singular, so do is plural. Most of the movies do not make sense. Okay, number 4, we're doing it together, so don't wait on me for the answer. Shout it out in the house, write it down on something, put it somewhere, turn to your sister, your brother, your mom, turn to someone and tell them the answer for number 4. Don't wait on Miss Harrison. Let's go. None of the children is or are missing, or indefinite pronoun is none. None of the children. Tell your neighbor. Is it your sister, your brother, your cousin, your mom, your dad, whoever is there with you? Tell them what the answer is. None of the children missing. Let's see. Children refers to more than one. What would we say for one? Anybody knows? Turn to your neighbor and say it. If it's only one, we would not say children, we would say child. Good job. So children means more than one. None of the children are missing. Plural, children, plural, are. Good job. Number 5, you're going to turn to your neighbor again and tell them the correct one. Let's go. All of the game was or were entertaining. All of the game was or were entertaining. Tell your neighbor, what is the indefinite pronoun? Look for it in the sentence. Look for it up there. See which word in blue matches one of the words in your sentence. See if they're talking about one game or more than one. And figure out, is it was or were? Tell your neighbor. Go ahead. Tell your neighbor. Tell your neighbor. All right. So, neighbor, if your neighbor said all is the indefinite pronoun, he or she is correct. Now, if your neighbor said game is the word we're looking at to figure out if we're using singular or plural, again, he or she is correct. Does game mean one or more than one? Of course, we know if it was more than one, it would be games. So game means one. It is singular. Was is singular. Were is plural. So none of the game was entertaining. What if I change this and add an S? Tell your neighbor. All of the games, tell your neighbor, were entertaining, because this would be more than one games. So that's all we're focusing on. Is it one? Is it more than one that we're referring to? Let's continue. Do or does you find any of his advice useful? We're focusing on this word first. It's not our indefinite pronoun or indefinite pronouns. Or answers are at the beginning. It's a question starting with do or does. Or indefinite pronoun is any. It can either be singular or plural, but I want you to look at this word. Remember, in earlier lessons, we said even though you can refer to one person or a group of persons or 3, 4 persons, you always take a plural verb. So even if I'm referring to just you, and that's one person, however, it is plural. You have to remember that rule. So, do or does you find any of his advice useful? So even though it says his advice, we're focusing on you. So we never say does you. No, it has to be do you. So you here is what helps us to know that we need a plural answer. So even though it says advice, we're looking at you because you always take a plural. 7 and 8. Write them down, lay them straight on that paper, or just shout it out to your neighbor if you did not get a chance to grab your notebook and your pencil. So 7 and 8 is on you. 7 and 8 are on you. Correcting myself. Let's go. Some snacks is or are sugar free. Is or are your friends coming over? 2 minutes. Look for your indefinite pronoun. Which one is in the sentence? In sentence 7. Look to see what are they talking about. Is it plural? Is it singular? Choose your answer. Same thing with number 8. Let's go. Make sure you get them correct. Make sure you get them correct. These are easy, so easy. We have harder ones coming up. Not in this lesson, but in another lesson. Are we ready? Some snacks is or are sugar free. Or indefinite pronoun, your neighbor should have told you some, or you should have underlined some in your sentence. Because some is right here. Snacks. If I say, I'm going to buy you snacks, do you expect me to buy one snack or do you expect more than one? Of course you expect more than one. So snacks there is telling us that it is plural. So some snacks, more than one snacks, are sugar free. Those are the better ones, by the way, sugar free. Is or are your friends coming over? Your friends. Plural. There's the S. Not one friend, but friends. So it is are. Are your friends coming over? All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Again, this one is very short compared to others. When we meet in our next lesson, it will be math. I'm going to do a pop-up session because some persons are asking me to do comparing the values of digits that we did in our last math lesson. Persons are asking me to do it using the place value chart. So you persons want to see if they're able to if they'll understand the ones with the chart better, or if they'll understand the ones that we did before. So in our next lesson, we're going to do that. And in our next reading lesson, we are still going to look at indefinite pronouns. That's going to be the last lesson on indefinite pronouns. Guys, remember, subscribe if you have not yet done so. Like and share. Don't keep it to yourself. Your family and your friends need to learn as well. Love you. See you in our next video. Bye-bye.